We are back. We then let's open the Pew Pew. I mean, okay, I have to be honest here. I don't think this is like quote unquote my first run in with game development, but it's not, you know, programming. I did mapping before, which is a part. So.
And you made your own TTRPG campaigns, which not for the design.
I mean, that is fair. Like in terms of I have some idea in terms of at least older engines. Okay, I say older engines. It's not like I made even maps in for UT4 on Unreal Engine 4. So like,
not that old.
Wait a second. If I ever want to get hired by a game studio, could I literally put that down as Unreal Engine skills?
I don't know.
Because technically it is. It just, you know. I just realized I should have probably updated my driver before the stream. Because apparently the whole, just hope they don't... Hey, depends on what job it is. Because, like, if it's about, you know, making multiplayer maps, hey, I can do that. I did that. At least the ones people tried, they were like, oh yeah, those are some pretty solid arena maps. I'm like, yay. I can also do big, but you know, happens. What do we want to throw in? You know what? Escalation and conquest together. That sounds nice, actually. Just hope they don't pass. I mean, you know what? Maybe fair. It's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of am proud of what I did there. So like, I have some. I know there is some, you know, knowledge of what I did and what it's for, but still. There we go. Must have to ask you when I started coding. I mean, everyone starts at some point, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing was always like I like multiplayer games and multiplayer shooters, so you know, I always hung around in editors there. That was pretty fun. By the way, if you're wondering, yes, I also made some RTS maps back in the day. I don't know where I left them though, because, well, honestly, RTS always had pretty good editors to use for maps. And then, you know, the official ones are usually the most boring you can imagine. Damn, how many are there? Like, I know I should talk a lot usually about some stuff because, like, it legitimately infuriates me when, you know, design-wise things are so obviously not sensible, but I know it's hard. Like, even if you just sat on, you know, even if you had like a good editor and you worked off of it with the you know, then, you know, getting something right still takes a lot of time. Hi. Here's the thing, I don't own it. So I played the beta and it was... I mean, I said back then this could have been an email. And I mean this like in the most literal sense possible. Because, you know, the whole... Is a Call of Duty, you know, people always say like, you know, Call of Duty is too similar each year. And I usually disagreed with that for a long time, for good reasons actually. Like, in the heyday, Call of Duty games were varied. Like, similar, you know, similar core, different, slightly different execution all the time. But, the new one is just, it's just Black Ops 6. Like, I don't even want to be cynical here. This is just, it is Black Ops 6 with the jump from Dirty Bomb. That's kind of it. Now, does that make it directly a bad game? Not really. Like, I don't think Call of Duty is generally a bad game from the get-go. It has Gen AI though, just like... Yeah, like, basically all the player cards are just Ghibli filter bullshit. So... You know what, I could leave it at that. you know, that is just probably enough that I will not spend money on this game. But like, this is... I've ran out of interest for Black Ops 6, like after Season 1. I don't know why, it was just kind of meh, I would say. And then you had the whole thing that, you know, Black Ops 7 is just that game, but oh, now it's future. Like, and then, you know, I see how it tries to be, you know, how it gets like the weapon models from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 and, you know, 3/4. And like, it neither is as vibrant as 3 or 4 in terms of art, or nor does it get the whole, you know, futuristic but grounded look from Black Ops 2. It's just bland looking, and the maps are all the same fucking structure. So at least in the beta. But everything I saw of new maps is still the same fucking structure.
It's boring.
What?
So it's boring.
Yeah, it's just boring. It was just like legitimately the most uninspired game I've played in the series in a long time. Like, you know, besides the Gen AI stuff. It was just very boring. And, you know, the fact that they pretty clearly wanted to have weapons weapons and maps carry over from 6, but then didn't, just made it worse. But, you know, now they're coming over anyway, so... Apparently zombies is good, though. But that's, like, not that surprising. Like, I didn't hate Black Ops 6 zombies, it just also ran out of steam. Meanwhile, Black Ops 7 zombies feels very much like jumping the shark, so... interesting development, I would say. You know, just going straight from... Well... This is kind of semi-grounded. I'm not surprised. When I played the survival map, I was like, this is fine, and it, you know, didn't really grab me, but like... Zombies mode in 6 was good. You can only expand on that the moment you throw out, you know, the grounded setting, I would say. What I do find interesting, though, or at least kind of amusing, they now had that big overview of how's it called? So remember how Black Ops during Black Ops 6 there was this idea that a lot of zombies maps were like ripped directly from some other modes? Especially Liberty Falls, which was, in the end, I would say, a good map. Like, I think everyone probably played Liberty Falls more than Terminus, but I don't know how the other maps fared in terms of popularity. So basically, the new, small Warzone map is Liberty Falls. Oops. Oops. It was ripped. Just from something that came away later. I'm not, oh. I'm not complaining about that. Like, in my opinion, that's a stupid thing. Because there's stuff that's just like, why would you complain about, like, Liberty Falls? Yeah, woo! If they took it from somewhere else, happens. Oh no. The horrors. Liberty Falls was still very much fun to play. So yeah, the only thing I would be interested in the new Black Ops 7 is that, as I said, basically just the zombies mode, but again, they use Gen AI, so I do not care. And that is just a personal thing. Oh, you mean Homefront? Yeah, absolutely. I fucking loved Homefront. Homefront is genuinely was such a good multiplayer game. It's a shame, it actually never made a
Right, we have secured more objectives. Let's hold it.
It's a genuine shame they cut the multiplayer from the second game because they were like, oh no, now we can focus on the single player experience. And people were like, yay, more single player experience. And it's like, the good part about Homefront was the multiplayer. Are you dumb? I mean, wait a second. The newest faction is also basically very much like, a resistance group, so yeah. But yeah, they have like 2 maps in Southern California right now. There's probably gonna be a 3rd in January. Because seemingly the cadence per season is now 2 new maps. 2 new maps, 1 map variant, and 1 and a remake, which is fine. I'm like, that's fine. Also, the remake is apparently downtown from Hardline, so, that's a good map. So I'm very happy. When did they say that? Which is very funny considering, RPGs were the reason their platform was so gigantic. Hello, PlayStation 1. Anyway. Yeah, they went way they went bankrupt, but this was it was less that. It was more like so I think it was Chaos Studios and oh, Sega. Ah, yeah, Sony was a bit would be weird. Like Sony is like was like the major pusher of RPGs. Like I remember when they were like when they introduced the state of play and stuff, and they were like, "Look, here's a new RPG coming from a Japanese developer." And there's so many Western people are like, "Why are they announcing this?" And it's like, do you have any idea how many PlayStation 4s this Gear 6, I think was it, or 5 sold on their own? Because they just had like all the mid-sized RPG devs on their console? But yeah. No, I know Chaos Studios was owned by THQ. THQ went bankrupt. And then, you know, everything was sold off. But Homefront was bought by Crytek. And then they put Dambuster / you know, basically the people that made, how's it called? Well, no, Dambuster was already working on it from THQ. And back then there were leaks, and they had a multiplayer mode. And it actually looked very interesting because it was, you know, at this time not on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, and there was apparently like 3 factions. Probably depending on which mode you played, because Lights rotates and functions properly. Oh yeah! There's some very nice details on this map. Like, honestly, Eastwood is probably like the best map they have in the game right now. I know some people just are furious, but like, listen, if anything, the whole everyone saying Battlefield 6 is bad is just... You know, I think someone gave actually the whole spiel away a while ago on Reddit because they complained that people who are, you know, good at shooters should not be playing Battlefield, and it's like, You just basically said you suck at the game and you do not want to have people that know a little bit how to play to be with, to be in the same game as you. Someone said that ironically, and a lot of people agreed with him. It's like, oh, so they basically just self-reported at this point. Anyway. But yeah, I'm very interested in January how, you know, Downtown will play with, you know, probably some IFVs and such, considering it was a hardline map. But yeah. But yeah, basically what happened is Dambuster was working on the multiplayer mode, you know, with the classic Homefront mode, and you know, and this time an attack and defense mode. And you know who and there were some interesting things hinted at least. So they were like, you know, farm in Virginia, etc. You know, some East Coast stuff, but there was also, you know, also stuff set in New York and shit, because guess why everything was set on the East Coast this time in the multiplayer? Or was supposed to be set on the East Coast. Nope. The devs are in London. Remember how I said there were there are two there were 3 factions, and one of them is a resistance, because the Homefront multiplayer was basically, like, from the first game, was set during the invasion of North Korea, you know, on the west coast. That was US military against North Korea. So who would fight on the east coast? That's the obvious next thing. See, the 2 major factions in the second game would be North Korea and the European Union. Because at the end of the first game, like, it literally was a broadcast that they were like, you know what? We should maybe liberate America. But, India invaded the UK. No, it's like, literally, you came to help, which is like... And there is some... I'm gonna be honest with you here. There's a personal... There's just a very personal bitterness about the fact that we never got, you know, the big multiplayer game about the European Union landing in the USA and being like, sub-Americans, you would be nothing without us. It was cool, like, you know, you had like, basically, they had like all the vehicles from, you know, like German, French, and British vehicles like mixed together, and it's like, yeah, that was like, the moment I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, they're cooking with that, and then it was axed. It was just axed. It literally, oh, fuck, did it did it just open Steam? Did you see a Steam overlay? Because it sometimes does that. There. Oh, thank God. Yeah, there was a weird, yeah, and so I had to fucking edit this again. But yeah, it is very funny that they basically, that this was the plan. It makes sense because, you know, the first game basically set this one up. As in, like, you know, the European Union said, we are coming to help. And you know what the funny bits they did with the second game? You know what the absolute funniest shit is? So the first game is they're basically dealing this surviving American forces that you know, basically hid in the North American wilderness. Did a strike at I think it was San Francisco. Yeah. And due to that they basically disabled the ports on the west coast, the European Union was also like, okay, fuck it, we can strike now. The North Korean lines will be disrupted enough. Second game, suddenly North Korea is even more advanced and has, like, you know, all their guns are suddenly like not guns, but oh yeah, because, you know, it's a Far Cry RPG game. It's like, oh, you can pick up North Korean guns because they're like, they have genetic fingerprint blocks, and you're like, what? And then they're like, yeah, and also and then they were also like, yeah, and the EU can't because there's like a super advanced defense system. So yeah, but like, you know, you never learn about that until the last paid DLC, when suddenly it's like, you go into one of the last nuclear bunkers of the USA that they haven't found yet and launch a nuclear missile to create an EMP, so the EU can actually, you know, land, which is also like, how is that coordinated? Because they would basically need to float in front of everything, but So you just basically recreated the ending of the first game, but just made it more complicated. What was the fucking point? Anyway. It is so funny that they sequel, like, you know, they sequel bait with the first game, just to then go, no. Just to then do the same sequel bait with the second game. Like, how the fuck do you do that? Yes, that worked. It uses Gen AI. I do not know more about it. I am not interested. I am very simple on that regard, you know. CEOs and stuff are like, oh, you know, we're using Gen AI voices because that's like, and then it's like, no, that's a lie. But also, fuck you for just, you know, not wanting to pay artists. And they're like, oh, but we paid artists a one-time thing. So, you know, they can't actually make money off of the fact that their voice will be perpetually reused. It's still exploitation. It's just exploitation with a bit of paint over it. I'm very simple on that regard. Da 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 da. Oi! Oi! I just wanted to drive a car. Yeah. That one somehow didn't count. Oh well. I'm kinda interested in what the second season is gonna be in this game, but yeah. No, it does count. Get MP5'd. There we go. And there we go.
Be advised, hostile attack approach on Charlie. We're targeting objective Delta. Be advised, the enemy has secured more objectives. Let's strike back. Our forces have neutralized Delta. Light armor vehicles prepped and ready to go. We now control objective.
Oh, someone wants to crash the crane.
We've just taken territory. Gold has been removed. Our troops are attacking Echo. Our troops have neutralized Echo. We need defensive support on the marked objective. Air support confirmed. Pilots are ready to deploy.
Whee! And yeah, that's why basically everyone thinks there's gonna be downtown as well, because like, why would you do the downtown revolution in another map if you don't also do downtown?
We now hold more objectives. Secure our defense. Hostile attack confirmed on Echo. Our troops have lost objective Echo. All units, heavy armored vehicles are ready for deployment. We now control objective Echo. We're attempting to capture Delta. Hostiles now hold more objectives. Objective Delta neutralized.
I played Counter-Strike back with 1.6, but like, and I played a bit of Source. It did like, I would say Global Offensive was the better one, but yeah, the whole gambling thing then was just like, no. like, I do think Counter-Strike is one of the most fascinating games to observe, because Counter-Strike 2 is like the absolute opposite of what, you know, any kind of game update you would expect. It's just like also missing basic shit that the industry just has. Or, you know, puts it behind the gambling paywall, and everyone is just fine with that, and I'm like fascinated by that, you know? Like, for example, people are saying, oh, you know, there's the whole thing about people saying, oh, characters, you know, need to look similar so you can distinctivate teams. Like, I get what you mean, but then why are there character skins in the loot boxes? Also, why are the only way to play a woman in Counter-Strike? Why is it to fucking open a loot box? That's or, you know, spend money on the marketplace, which is also just like, why are there no default models to switch between? That's like the easiest thing they could have done. Just, you know, every faction has both a male and female model, but everyone was able to ignore it. Like, that's the thing, you know? Like, here's the thing. The thing about Valve games is that, and it's just the fact that there is a very certain kind of audience they have that is, I don't think they're as bad as Nintendo fans, but they certainly do not really care about actually, you know. I mean, okay, the crypto scammers are just stupid. That's one thing, you know. That's like, but also the thing about NFT games is the idea that, you know, you can scam harder if everyone buys into it. But like, also, most crypto people actually believe their own shit, so, you know, what do you expect in the end? But like, I think the main part is that, wow, what the fuck is that rubber banding right now? Something is broken on that server. Yeah. Considering stream hasn't broken down, I can only assume this is something with the server. But yeah. There we go. Where is another? But yeah, I think the difference is that this is actually just working for Valve games and only for them. Like, here's the thing. Counter-Strike is just like a cesspool at this moment, but cesspools pay money. If they actually cleaned up the game, a lot more people would be very angry at what they're doing. But they don't need to, because all the people that could be angry at them, and I'm gonna be honest with you here, Valorant was a blessing in disguise for them. See, everyone who wanted to play Counter-Strike but, you know, didn't because it was a cesspool, now just fully went off to play another game that is, you know, just slightly less shitty in its monetization, but still, like... I mean, okay. Let's just be clear here. I do think Valorant is in a lot of ways the worst game. And then, like, it is just way more uninteresting and boring. And it's creatively probably the most bankrupt one of them all, because, like, there's no interest in making things just a little bit asymmetrical. There's no interest in making the maps in any form more unique. There's all the weapons are probably the most boring designs and basic designs you can imagine for weapons. And this is a bad game. No, it's just boring. It's just really fucking boring. But what happens? Well, because everything is so boring, then they're like, here's a completely over-designed weapon skin, and people buy it. Meanwhile, interestingly, Counter-Strike has just... Oh yeah, here's a new texture on the skin. Gamble. And you're like, what? It's just like, you know, you have one thing that is the better game, but it's like artificially made shit because everyone, you know, because if they actually had an audience that cared, they wouldn't have the audience that engaged with all the gambling and loot boxes. And that's the thing I want to point out. This isn't a, oh, you know, people will just accept it depending on nilly-willy. Like, might I remind you, Payday 2 introduced the same system as Counter-Strike. They even introduced basically later pay-to-win stuff to make it more enticing, and people simply didn't use it. They refused to use it. It was so bad, they scrapped everything. And this was just the same system on the same platform. One of the most popular co-op games. And it just didn't work. So yeah, it's technically widespread, but you need to be part... I mean, the cards are still in there, but that's the thing since launch, and now there's a way around them with the whole Continental coin system. But no, they had loot boxes. They're like actual loot boxes for skins that you can sell on the Steam market. And they basically removed that completely. To the point that now it's, if you like the first heist of the day that you do, like, this isn't even a daily mission thing. It's just like, you play, you get a free skin. Guaranteed. It's just like, okay. And then they even added a whole editor system to be like, oh yeah, you know, now you can just make your gun look how you want to. And it's like, okay. Interesting. It is fascinating how much that just changed. Like, I'm serious. But that's the thing, you know, we had something that was mainly a Steam community. It was one of the biggest one on Steam. It did the exact same thing as Counter-Strike. And legitimately, the higher ups at the company were just like literally writing in forums, why do you have a problem? This is just the same thing as Counter-Strike, you know? And then the first comment was, Payday is not Counter-Strike. And I think that is one of the key things people need to keep in mind on so many topics. Because I do think this is like the absolute crucial thing to understand why certain things work for certain companies in the gaming industry but are not universally applicable. Like, yeah, Valve sits basically on a gambling empire. They could curb it at any moment. They could at any moment sit down and make Counter-Strike a much more enjoyable game to play. No problem. And they don't want to because, you know, the audience they have is like legitimately those, like the awful audience they have for Counter-Strike is legitimately those that would even pay the money for skins. So, you know, Payday didn't work out. Also, yeah, shame. I mean, they are working on 3, and from what I see, it is more than I expected. But also, 3 cannot improve until they generally replace and change the fundamental design problems the game has. It's also just a fact. Okay, so why didn't that count? Anyway. So, yeah. But in the end, I mean, companies tried doing gambling and most just failed. You need, similarly, I do think a lot of devs try to add, they're like, oh, Gen AI, because, you know, they look at maybe Arc Raiders where the players are so far ignoring it, and they don't notice that it's very selective ignoring, not, you know, embracing of that shit. And I think that is just kind of a crucial thing to keep in mind every time we talk about these topics. Anyway. Nice. 415, that's like the most progress I have made in a while. I still say Payday 2 is like the best co-op game out there, period. Payday 2 is just so good. But you know, the irony is, I generally looked at stuff like how's it called? I genuinely looked at Payday 2 and like there's just so much to like about it. And it was always kind of a shame that every other RPG, co-op game with RPG elements was just like not the same in terms of death, and you're like, why? Today I just found out that shockingly, Darktide actually also has skill trees. Like, that was just a thing only, Payday 2 had, and now suddenly I just sit there being like, what do you mean? There's a second game with skill trees? Because I just played Vermintide 2 because it was free a while ago, and it was like, it was fun, but you only had like, every 5 levels, you got a perk. And then, and apparently Darktide also had that, but then they reworked it and they just were like, fuck it, skill trees for everyone. I'm like, sitting here like, fuck. Why is money tight this month? Because it sounds really good, Big annoyance point of me. Do we have probably something there? Wait, why is it now? Ah, well. Okay. Uh, did that count actually? Didn't. Oh, come on. Why does that not count? A quick vacation to Turkey. Why? Nah. I can't. I don't have that money. And I mean, even if it's on sale, I'm just like, no. Brokeritis is real. It's the no money virus. Oh well. Actually, imagine. I hate it when I'm sick with the no money bug. Yes, everyone hates the no money bug. Imagine. You're like, oh, you're like, oh, this game is expensive. Better take a quick trip with my private jet to Turkey and buy it for cheap. Like, as we like to say in German, Schwabe im Endstadium. well. Oh, right, there was the announcement thing. Apparently they're finally making Medieval 3 Total War. Damn. It's been ages. The Schufa is a bit like a credit score, but it's also different to a degree. It's to a degree, but it's basically that.
Attention! Hostile attack confirmed on Echo.
Also, I guess they're making a Dusk RPG? What the hell, New Blood? They're like, what? Yeah, first person dungeon crawler. I know. It's, you know what? It's kind of funny how I am genuinely surprised there hasn't been Dusk card yet. Like, let's just be real here. I respect the hell out of the fact that they just run with the bit that, you know, Dusk is like the biggest game New Blood has ever released. So they just keep making weird spin-off stuff like, you know, a demake or, you know, now an RPGs one, but still.
Our troops are attacking Echo. Objective Echo neutralized.
Oh, that's gonna be very funny. Living the funniest timeline.
We have secured Echo. We need to defend the marked objective.
So, apparently, Donald Trump made another one of his where the hell did that come from moves, because he was talking about the fact that in, you know, countries like Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, that a lot of people drive, you know, small cars, you know, K cars and such, and that they are not that those are not allowed to be built in the USA. And he's like, that's bullshit. I'm gonna allow the production of those cars in the USA. And I'm just like, I approve of that, but that is the weirdest source of where this is coming from. Like, just. Hey, I am very down with that. It's like, did that guy just literally destroy, like. Oh, yeah, like. I'm just like, I know, you know, the American car lobby just, like, runs on that bullshit, but also, like, the fact that they can produce and have them there is just, like, it is probably one of the weirdest things he has approved for, but, like, again, very down for the fact that he just basically destroyed American car lobby work of decades in mere seconds. I am. There's a lot you like know, but. And here's the thing: the moment K cars get popular K cars and K trucks would get popular in the USA, you know that will spread to Europe. I want small cars. Like, I'm sorry. We kind of need small cars more than you even, because, like, Yeah, it is very okay. I don't know. Okay, chat. How much is this the Mamdani effect? Like, we know he liked that guy, so was this like an, you know, Zoran was like, look at tiny K-Cat, they're cute, and he's like, you're right, Zoran, ooh. I just, it is very fascinating to watch,
Roll Bravo.
but, like, I'm not going to disagree on the fact that, yeah,
Our troops are attacking Charlie.
even if this is just like him being like, this is bullshit that this is not allowed, everyone's like, yeah, but you know what? I am kind of amazed that this could genuinely be the case, that it was just phrased that we are not allowed to do it, and he's just like, bullshit. America should be able to Americans should be able to build the biggest and smallest cars, but also like lol LMAO, like the small cars will take over so much.
We no longer control Echo.
Again, I wish for K cars here. Like, honestly, I'd be already down with the fact if cars would just be smaller in general. Because, like I've driven big and small cars. And sometimes it works in the favor of everyone, I guess. In the very rare times that it works in the favor of everyone.
Our troops have secured Alpha. We are engaging objective Alpha.
Oh well. Yeah, I mean, usually we take a walk, you know, after the streams, and bleh. One of the things I always notice is just like there's so little room because all the cars are just, you know, clogging up the street, you know, street and sidewalk, and it's like I am genuinely pissed that No, we just don't have smaller, because we had smaller cars. Like, I don't even think we need to go, you know, and Europe has, in comparison, still relatively small cars. How the fuck did that happen? Like, I drove small cars, like a Golf 2 or stuff. Those are small in comparison to what a lot of stuff is today. I think the smallest thing is still what my mother's driving, and that is technically a form of SUV, but it's still pretty small in comparison, and you know, in terms of footprint. And like, you know, by the way, if you're wondering, she is actually using it to go into more rural areas and stuff. So like, there is a reason she has it, but yeah, it's also a very small one. Yeah, we don't need big cars at all. Even in the supposed big car category, you can have small SUVs. SUV is just a certain amount of traits you'd have, so you can go, you know, all terrain. You don't need them to be giant flock of, you know, dick enhancers. Even then, you don't want to have one. Like, the normal family sedan is better in terms of space and storage. Like, factually, it's better. You need to keep in mind, SUVs are not marketed by usefulness nowadays. They are marketed with fear. Like, basically, they keep putting them out. You know, they keep, yeah, they're crowding. They're like, especially in USA, they're like literally deadly. But also they're like, hey, there are evil people outside. And what you need is a big car that is that is, you know, a big car that can protect you and your family. I mean, honestly, that is better. They did, how's it called? Exit and, animations for, you know, entering and exiting vehicles in 5, and it sucked. Like, in terms of gameplay flow, it was just so much worse. Like, you could play around it, but it didn't feel good.
Our troops are attacking Charlie.
Yeah, but again, the alternative was like way worse. It's also just like a lot of times they don't really do that. They're just too stupid. Oh well. So let's see. Damn, we're already done here. Nice. Yes, that's does your credit card work another year? I don't have a credit card. We have electronic cash. We're like civilized countries that don't need to take on credit every time we want to make transactions. But AC should work, I think. That's not a problem. That's like there's like banking regulations. But yeah, credit is like the most people here in Europe use credit is usually when they have to interact with companies that sit in the USA that for some reason only take credit, and they're like, well, why don't you have a credit card? And the answer is because you don't need it in life. That's like part one. Well, well, oh well. Probably do that at some point, but yeah. Well, hope you had some fun talking. Tomorrow, I think it is still Vermintide 2 on the plan. How can I, if you want to make bad financial decisions, how are you supposed to spend beyond your limit without credit? Well, see, here comes the German mind in play. We don't make bad financial decisions. Like, genuinely, I do think Europeans, like, the idea of, making bad financial decisions, it's just, like, less a thing here because we generally just rely less on credit. So it's, like, legitimately like, yeah, this game costs money, but, you plan, like, months ahead that you want to have it. That is just more of a thing here. I mean, there is a lot more of this pay later business nowadays that younger generations use, but and it's stupid, and it's currently like, holy shit! You should actually see how much the media, especially older people, are like infuriated by the fact that apps basically allow people to buy clothes and stuff with basically credit that isn't credit. And there is a big call for regulation because they want it gone. And honestly, rightfully so. I do think credit is something that, if we have to live in a system that uses money, I do think credit is something that should be only be handed out by, banks with certifications and fixed rates, etc. Because, like, else this is just abusive to hell and back. So, yeah. See you all probably tomorrow, Vermintide 2 Neo 2 continues on Saturday and Sunday, I think. And Battlefield then probably is back with the event on Tuesday. Oh yeah, right. There's a new event, a new map, new map variant coming, so that's gonna be interesting. And also the fact that, oh god, they're making this. You know, the only thing I can think about is that it's the Serious Sam 2 mode because, you know, basically they're like, oh yeah, we have okay, basically what you want, one of the maps gets a snow variant. Cool, like that. I hope they keep that in the game, by the way, because I do think map variants are relevant. But yeah, basically map gets a snow variant, and the new mode is basically you will start to freeze and lose health if you're not near fires, which is just like the funniest and most basic shooter level gimmick of all time. Like, I know they had it in a mission in Bad Company 2, and it's unrealistic bullshit, but also I remember it was also in Serious Sam 2 and definitely in some game before that. It's like, oh, how do we spice up our winter level? I know. Oil barrels that burn, and you need to go near them to heat up. So funny. I couldn't even mention that until now. God damn it, and now I'm ending the stream, but still, it is so funny that that's the case. It's just like, yeah, the most basic shooter gimmick, but hey, all the other modes suck. This one's probably gonna be at least kind of funny. So yeah, gonna look forward to next week when that event is dropping, and then hopefully we get like our first teaser of Downtown soonish, because I'm very much looking forward to Downtown. Actually, like, if when that hits, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be one of those people are like, wait, Hardline map, and I'm like, yeah, Hardline map. Hardline maps were good. Hardline maps was just like some of the best in the franchise. I'm sorry. So yeah, thanks for being here. See you all tomorrow, and we had a fun time. Oh, Potom14, thank you for the follow. I haven't seen that. Thanks for being here. Yeah. I don't know when the drops are actually live for this game that are not for the plebs. So depending on what is going on, I might sneak in maybe one more time. So, you know, wait a second. How long are the drops active actually? Ba 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 ba. Oh, until the next Tuesday. Oh god. So, oh wait, they were active right now. I'm very sorry I'm not streaming more. But thanks everyone for being here. I will definitely yeah. Maybe I will sneak in some other hour of it someday, but yeah. Hope you had fun. See you all around tomorrow. Bye.